Morning. This is the Better Business Bureau, and we are pleased this morning to introduce Rachel Howard, who will be speaking on behalf of the Baltimore District Office for the Small Business Administration. Rachel will be able to address for us some updates on PPP. The next round is coming up, as well as answer questions on EIDL. So Rachel, you've become a huge part of our family this year. I cannot imagine how many of these presentations you and Steve are providing to Maryland business owners. And first of all, I want to say thank you. I can't imagine another SBA office being as accessible as you guys have been. So thank you for that so much. And it is an honor and privilege to have you start our morning off with hopefully a lot of good news and information to address the business needs. So Rachel, take it away.
You are too kind. Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be with you. Of course, we've had quite a relationship over the years, and I think that positioned us both quite well to get everybody through this, both your customers and ours. So it's been really great. And again, we thank you guys for the support and certainly the opportunity. You've been just wonderful. So again, thank you all for coming bright and early this morning. We are going to move through the Paycheck Protection Program, and then we will talk a little bit about the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. I know that was a concern for some of the folks, a few of the questions we had already gotten. Some people may not have known who SBA is coming into this, may not really have understood who we are and what we do. We are the federal government. Our sole purpose in life is to help folks start and expand their small businesses. And we do, as Angie said, we're located in Baltimore, so we're called the Baltimore District, but we actually serve the whole state with the exception of Prince George's and Montgomery County. Those folks are served by our partners, our counterparts, in the Washington Metro District. So certainly we are here for you. Just like many of you, we're all working remotely right now, but we all are fully functionally mobile. So please feel free to reach out to us. So again, hot topic of the morning, Paycheck Protection Program. I'm going to dig right into this. I know there's quite a few questions that we have to get through. So clearly the program has been a huge success. I can share with you that some of the loan numbers that we have going through July 24th, across the country, we've had over 5 million small businesses receive loans. And that was a total of over 519 billion with a B dollars. And then here specifically for Maryland, Maryland alone has authorized over 83,000 loans at just shy of 10 billion. So the program has been quite successful. We've had a few bumps in the road, as many of you are aware, but certainly this was a brand new program, started from scratch, and we got it up and running in quite a short amount of time. So thank you all for your patience along the way. And so we'll move on through to the next slide, please, and we'll just get into kind of the nuts and bolts of the program. So the program is designed to get folks back to work. That's really what it was about. We wanted to get the small businesses to bring their folks back in and to get operations back up and running. So the key feature of this program is that the SBA will forgive a portion of the loan if the employees are kept on the payroll for a period of 8 weeks, and that the money is used for specifically payroll, rent, your mortgage, your utilities. Let's see here. If you're applying for the loan, the way you're going to do this is go directly through the bank. So we always tell folks, encourage you to start with your existing lender. So whoever you currently do your banking with, start with them. They may or may not be participating at this point. The other thing, and I apologize for backtracking, but as we move forward, and we'll get to that slide, but the program is going to end on August 8th. So please keep that in mind as you're working through or taking some notes or, sort of formulating your questions. You have until August the 8th to apply. So again, you're going to check with your banker. Hopefully it's going to be a go right from that initial conversation, but for whatever reason, if they aren't participating, if it's not something that they are doing, you can go here to the SBA.gov. Odds are if you just put in a Google search Paycheck Protection, you're going to come up with a whole list of folks. But we do have a feature on our SBA.gov main website where you can search for a lender. And it's pretty nifty. You can just put in your zip code and it'll kind of bring you the closest folks in your area. And it's quite an exhaustive list. So we have both brick and mortar locations as well as some online banking, fintech folks. So lots of options. So you should be in good shape to find somebody. I think we'll go on to the next one. And so who can apply? Really, the list again, pretty long as far as who's eligible. Small businesses with less than the 500 employees you'll see here. Does include sole proprietorships. That's been a big question along the way. Independent contractors, self-employed, specific select private nonprofits, and again, a grouping there for the 501c19s veterans. Businesses here, you'll see certain industries may have more than 500. That all goes by the industry classification codes, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, especially if you're going to fall in that category. You're going to know full well what your benchmarks are. So again, refer to that SBA website when in doubt. And then you'll see here small businesses for hospitality, food industry. So it may be a chain, franchising, that sort of a situation that would apply to that last bullet there. So we will move on. So the way it works is that the 8-week portion of the loan will be forgiven if the funds are used for payroll. Again, the mortgage, rent, utilities are all acceptable. So as long as you're meeting your minimum percentages there, that loan will be forgiven. The other really cool thing, the loan payments, you don't have to worry about for at least the first 6 months. There is no collateral, no personal guarantee. No fees are going to be charged, whether it's the bank or us, government. And then the forgiveness again is based on you bringing folks back on board. So you're going to maintain those salary levels. I know we have a question that we'll get to a little later, but just since we're on this bullet, I'll just throw it out there. It does not have to be the same employees. So we know there are a lot of folks that we've been hearing over the past few months that for whatever reason, whether COVID concerns or, maybe things have changed, in their personal situation with daycare and things like that, that they aren't able or not willing to come back. So again, it doesn't have to be the exact same employees, just keep that salary, the payroll levels at the same. And then you'll see here that the loan maturity now has gone all the way out to 5 years, and it has an interest rate of 1%. So very favorable. And what do we have next? Okay, we've sort of covered this one. Again, the Paycheck Protection, you're going to go directly to your lender. So this program works much like our 7A program for anybody who's interested with traditional SBA lending. Again, you're going to apply through the lender. They have all of the paperwork. Everything is filed electronically. You will be asked when you apply to give them, your electronic banking information. So the funds would be electronically deposited. It is mandatory that you receive the funding within 10 days if you should be approved. So it's a fairly quick process. I know most of the folks that we're hearing from, it's just a matter of a few days. And again, we've got that deadline quickly approaching, August the 8th. And for anybody that may have already applied and has some specific questions, I'm going to do my best here at the end to address everything. But we specifically created an email box to serve our customers here locally. So MD SBA Loan Questions at SBA.gov is a mailbox that we have here for our Maryland customers that our lending staff is directly monitoring that box and can answer those questions. So that is certainly available to you. And I think from there, we're going to move right on into our EIDL program. So this is our Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. This, again, is a traditional piece of sort of SBA products and services. Many of you probably remember or maybe even unfortunately experienced the flooding in Howard County. I'll show my age and go way back in the day to Superstorm Sandy and, Isabel. We fortunately, with the harbor in Maryland being very coastal and a lot of, waterways, we've had a lot of flooding that tends to be more so what we would experience here. But certainly, we're all familiar with the various hurricanes and wildfires and unfortunate things that have happened across the country. So this is SBA's response. Many people think that in times of disaster, it's FEMA that would be the responder, which is all true. But SBA actually serves as the nation's bank in times of disaster. So if there is a disaster that is presidentially declared, the loan would actually come from SBA. So this is the only time that you would get direct money from SBA. It would be this EIDL economic injury loan. So it is a low interest, long-term loan, and it is designed for working capital. So in this case, because of COVID-19, the entire country has been designated as a disaster since so many people were affected at such a drastic level. So all Maryland small businesses are eligible to apply for these loans. And we'll move on to the next one. So again, they are specifically designed to help small businesses. The programs are recently expanded to include small agricultural cooperatives and aquacultural businesses. And again, private nonprofit organizations here are also eligible. And so the way it works is you can apply. Again, you're going to apply directly through the SBA. We'll get to another slide here in a second or two that'll have the actual loan application portal. Right now, the loan amounts are going up to $150,000. If it's over $25,000, it may require collateral. Again, interest rates are relatively low. So disaster loans for a private enterprise small business are 3.75%. Nonprofits come in at 2.75%. And the terms go all the way out 30 years. And the first payment on these is not going to be due for 12 months after the funds are issued. So again, lots of time there. And how do we use the EIDL? So this is a little different than the Paycheck Protection that we just talked about. So there's no restriction on your percentages on how the money is spent. It is a working capital loan, so you're going to pay for your fixed debts. It can be used for payroll, can be accounts payable, other bills that you're not able to meet due to the losses experienced through this disaster. The one thing is not meant for business expansion, as you'll see there at the last bullet. And basically the EIDL was just brought into play and is used to help folks stay afloat. So to get them, again, restart the operations, get them back up and running. So we're not refinancing existing debt. We're not expanding. This is just, sort of to get you through. Let's see, I think the next one. There we go, the magic website. Again, you can do a quick and easy search, but certainly this here is the direct link to the application. So covid19relief.sba.gov, then with the slashes and the pound sign there. Pretty quick and easy. I was on the phone with somebody the other day as they went through the application. I think it took all of 5 minutes. And the center, the actual SBA Office of Disaster Assistance is the ones that handle this EIDL program. So you'll deal directly with their staffing on this. And they've hired a bunch of new folks and they're working around the clock, and things have really sped up and the loan queue is all cleared out. And so you should be in good shape. And again, with this, you will include in part of the application your electronic banking information. So again, once you're approved and you agree to the loan, sign off on those closing loan documents, again, really in a matter of days, you'll have that money. So really a pretty quick turnaround on that one. And let's see, I think our next slide ought to give you, here we go. I know many folks have already applied for the EIDL loan. Maybe you have questions now. Maybe you've applied and you haven't heard anything yet and you're concerned. So again, you're going to deal directly with the SBA Office of Disaster Assistance. So here's their email, disastercustomerservice@sba.gov. And then the main 800 line, as you'll see there, 800-659-2955. I think I chant that in my sleep these days, but that's okay. So a really nice bunch of folks, and they'll be more than happy to get you straight and get you some information. Unfortunately, that's not something that we can do here at the local office. So if it is an EIDL question, you'll need to deal directly with Office of Disaster Assistance through these channels here. If it was about Paycheck, earlier, and I think Joanne's going to share the stuff later on for everybody to have a copy, but it's that MD SBA loan questions for the Paycheck. So I think our next slide is about our other programs. Yay! So among the other things that we do just on a daily basis, one of our key programs has always been counseling or mentoring. And we really rely on our resource partners to make that happen. So we have representation for every county. So whether you are in the greater Baltimore area, Western Maryland, Eastern Shore, wherever it is, you'll have access to these resources here. These are funded SBA resource partners. SCORE, many of you may be aware of, they're typically retired, but not always, but that's a volunteer organization. And then we have the Maryland Small Business Development Center. Those are paid counselors. It's their day job. Currently for us, the SBDC program is funded through the University of Maryland. That's our lead partner. So their main office is in College Park, but again, they have a vast network, counselors all across the state. We also have we're excited to announce we now have 2 women's business centers. The one located at Morgan State University, obviously in the city, and then Maryland Capital Enterprises is actually based in Salisbury on the Eastern Shore, but they also have a presence here in the Baltimore area. I know we may have some veterans with us, so certainly thank you all for your service. And we do have a special partner devoted just to veterans issues. That's a 703 number. Yes, that's Northern Virginia. That's currently the host for the VBOC, we call it, but they do serve the state of Maryland. And again, just like all of us, everything is pretty much being done virtually right now. But so they're doing phone counseling, they've got video counseling. I think all of the training courses have all gone over to webinars. So lots of really great information. The best part is it's all free. So aside from your time, which I realize is terribly important and valuable, the services are provided free. You do on your initial counseling session, you do sign off on a non-disclosure, so your secrets are safe. And certainly they can help you with anything from the business plan. Maybe you're having some questions about payroll and employees. Do I hire? Do I expand? Part-time, full-time, whatever it might be. They can help with QuickBooks, government, contracting, marketing, really runs the gamut. So please feel free to reach out to them. They're a wonderful resource. And again, any or all of those options are available to you. You can work with one partner, 2, 3, whatever combination works for you. So again, a really, really great resource. And I have to say, we've got some real rock star counselors here across the state, and they've really been a great help to many of our small businesses. So please do take advantage of that. And I think our next one is, there we go. So obviously, information is coming at us from all directions these days, and very quickly. The quickest way for us to disseminate information to you at the moment is through Twitter. So I would encourage everybody, if you do participate with social media and you have Twitter, follow us at SBA_Baltimore. Usually if there's a program announcement, a change, a workshop, we try to do some fun facts. So I encourage everybody to sign up and follow us. And then we do also have a newsletter, more of an e-blast subscription that gives a little bit more detailed information. And you can sign up there through the sba.gov/updates. And that's just a simple go in, and you just basically put in your email and you can just check off whichever offices, if you want the main SBA newsletter, ours, whatever it may be. And what do we have next, Clay? We have one more, I think, maybe. Oh, thank you. Okay, there you go. So again, I thank you all so much for the opportunity today, and I am more than happy to tackle questions as best as I can.
Sure, yeah, we got a bunch actually. So we'll circle back to the very beginning. This was addressing the PPP loan. So they're asking, why is each applicant only allowed to have one PPP loan if the owner owns 2 or 3 businesses?
Yeah, everybody it's just one per company. You know, SBA doesn't create the rules. These were all things set up through Congress. And the way that the program was legislated is that there was one loan per customer. So at the moment, that's where we are. Now, there's nothing to say that you don't have a paycheck and an EIDL. Certainly, they can work hand in hand. And then again, traditional SBA funding, whether it's the 7A microloan, all of those are still options as well.
Next one is, again, the PPP loan. They're saying the PPP is 24 weeks now and 60% for payroll. Is that?
Yeah, they have been extended. They went back, probably a lot of folks remember that the program was shut down. Honestly, it had run out of money. So we had a downtime, maybe a week or two in the middle there, and they made a couple revisions to the program, realizing, I think quite honestly, that COVID lasted a little longer than we thought it was going to, or that we didn't quite get things cleared up maybe, or on the right track. So realizing that 8 weeks really isn't enough, especially in the situation, let's say restaurants where, you know, by law, they could not reopen. Obviously it would be much different, you know, a consulting person or, you know, retail operation, whatever it might be. Everybody sort of had different challenges based on what the governor or the various counties have allowed them to do. So they extended the program to 24 weeks so that instead of using the period, within those 8 weeks, now you've got 24 weeks to use that amount of money.
Great.
And 60% is good for payroll?
Yeah, it's actually been reduced now. So yeah, and you can check all of that on our SBA website. So yeah, made it a lot better for folks.
Great, thanks. Again, about PPP loans, what about taxes, such as property and state taxes?
I don't believe the taxes are on there. If you go to, number one, always ask your lender. That's the safest thing to do. But if you go to treasury.gov and search for Paycheck Protection Program, they have what they call interim final rules, and that really gives you more than you'll ever want to know. So you can go through and search, and it also has a lot of helpful tools on there. There's, I know, one sheet about how to actually calculate your amounts if you're not sure what it should be. Lots of ifs and ands, and, you know, I'm this business with that. I have seasonal employees, so lots of FAQs to help you figure out what your situation would be. And then again, it will give you the specifics on what it can be spent for. But I think it's pretty much the main categories there. I don't remember taxes being eligible, so.
Got it. This one's jumping to EIDL. So if we need more office space to properly social distance, do we need to get a move approved? Also, our lease is up in 10 months. How do we handle a move under the EIDL?
Let's see. I think you're okay. I think there should be within your documentation, there should be an address. I think if you just send a letter kind of stating your intentions and the reasoning, and just making the notification made, you should be fine. But again, you've got that disaster customer service at SBA email. I mean, clearly life goes on, you know. A stove dies, you need to buy a new one, you know, whatever it might be. I mean, things happen. So, you know, closing up the business and disappearing, not a good idea. But certainly if you need to move, you know, relocate, especially in cases where leases are up, you should be fine. But I think if I remember correctly, there is an address in that paperwork where you can just send a letter, just adding it to your file so that they are aware.
All right. So, and then if, for example, an employee retires before the loan is paid back, but after the 8 weeks from getting the loan, will you be penalized, assuming you can't get a replacement employee? And can you pay back a portion of the loan without penalty that would be not forgiven to avoid the loan payment?
Yes. I think I understand correctly. So again, employees don't have to be the same person. So nobody's going to look at your staff rate, register and say, oh, Sue left in April. What happened to Sue? So if the person is retiring and you take on another employee and you keep your staffing levels up, that's perfectly fine. But again, there are no prepayment penalties. So I think you should be in good shape.
All right. Ooh, just now scrolling through, my little chat box is kind of small, so I see that some of you couldn't hear me ask questions. Sorry, I'll speak up here. With the second round of PPP loans currently being discussed in the new stimulus package, will it be for companies who've already received a PPP loan in the first round?
I do not know. Yeah, obviously there's lots of discussion. That's not something that we are involved in, at the local level. I'm sure you've heard, just like we have, just from following the news, there's all sorts of, ideas and things coming around. It's really just going to come down to what Congress approves. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer. I don't even have an expectation at this point. We're waiting, just like you, to see what they will or won't do with the program.
All right. Says idle contracts states that we need permission to do just about anything. Is there a streamlined procedure for getting permission for relatively normal business activities?
Again, day-to-day stuff, just keep your good records, do your traditional bookkeeping and you should be fine. Again, similar to that move and lease discussion, just send the letters in or, email the folks there at that disaster customer service at sba.gov email box.
Thank you. And are businesses eligible for both idle and PPP?
Absolutely. And I know we had a question, and I'll just go ahead and jump to it if that's okay, because it kind of just falls right in with this. You certainly are eligible for Paycheck and the EIDL loan program. What's going to happen is, back when we were offering the EIDL advance, many folks got that advance amount of up to $10,000. And what happens is, if you got the advance amount, that amount is deducted from your forgiveness eligibility. So let's say you had $25,000 that would have been forgivable from Paycheck Protection, and you got $2,000 as an EIDL advance. That $2,000 will remain on your Paycheck Protection balance. So that $2,000 would convert to that traditional loan at the 1% that we talked about, going out 5 years. So I know that was one of the questions that we had sent in.
Great, thanks. Two birds with one stone there. So what are the qualifications for the 7A loans?
The 7A loan follows, traditional lending guidelines. And again, that's something that you could work with one of the Small Business Development Center or SCORE counselors, or certainly you can just reach out. Most all of the banks in Maryland are approved and signed on to do loans, traditional SBA lending. But again, if you go to our SBA.gov, you can search for a lender. We have lists of the local lenders on there as well. And again, that gives you a much wider, use of proceeds, working capital, that sort of a thing. So please, yeah, definitely look into that.
And if some of our guests are not on Twitter, are you on Facebook, LinkedIn as well?
Yeah, the agency, the headquarters location, has those social media accounts, but locally the district offices do not put that out there. So newsletters or the Twitter would be the best way to get the Maryland information, but certainly you can follow the headquarters site.
Hang on one second for me. Just need to do a bit of housekeeping here. Okay, so if I'm a sole proprietor of an LLC and worked for profit without paying myself a salary, and I was self-employed, not W-2, can I still apply for this loan and have it as a forgiven loan?
Yeah. There are lots of options. I will admit I am not a loan officer. So my safest answer for you would be to reach out to your lender and go through everything with them. They'll be able to give you the best advice. And then beyond that, again, if you want to refer to that treasury.gov, all of those interim final rules on there. And I had mentioned they give you the lots of the examples. I am, therefore, all of the different scenarios are on there. So I really hesitate to say. My best guess is just, go please just talk with the lender or check there on the Treasury site.
So let's see. My question is in the EIDL loan. There's a clause that you cannot use the funds for relocation. My wife and I were in the middle of a closing on a home using our veterans COE with FGMC. They would not accept our receipts for working capital as proof that we were not using idle money for closing fees. Do you know why? In the contract, it says it cannot be used for relocation specifically.
Yeah. Again, the safest thing is going to be to go through the Office of Disaster, that disaster customer service email that we talked about, or give them a call at the 800-659-2955 phone number. I think as long as you've got a good paper trail, you should be okay. But the safest answer is just to go directly to the SBA Office of Disaster for clarification.
Thank you. So this question is about sort of how long does the application review process take? This person submitted an application that's currently under review. How long does the review take?
Earlier in the process, there was a fair amount of time involved in going through these applications. The online portal was revised, so things have really been sped up. I think, it's just a matter of days currently. You should have gotten a documentation, maybe just double check your email. I have had a couple situations where we've been trying to help some folks lately. It's been months since they had applied and they haven't heard anything and they just don't understand what the problem is. And it's been as simple as the email was mistyped in the application. Some just little housekeeping things like that have held things up. So again, if you haven't heard, kind of double check your email, your spam folders. And then beyond that, just go directly to SBA Office of Disaster. Again, that same 659-2955, or email them if that's better. Make sure you've got your loan application number, your confirmation number, because that'll help speed things up.
All right. From Jay, he has 3 employees. When he reopened, one came back, one did not want to, and a third only wanted part-time. I just don't need more than those. Can I use the full loan to pay the 1.5 people the full amount, or do I have to return the balance?
No, again, double check with your lender, but as long as you've got the payroll level the same, you should be fine. And again, what you'll just need to do is just document the person that chose not to come back. One of the stipulations in the loan is that you just need to document that you gave them a written offer of employment and then they declined it. So just kind of keep that as part of your paper trail, and you should be fine.
All right. From Darren, does interest accrue from day one? I believe that might be the PPP loan.
Yeah, I would think that's a lender question. I'm
Sure.
sorry.
No problem. So our business just started operation last September. We were at the stage of hiring when the pandemic hit. All investment has been put on hold. We applied for the PPP last week, but we haven't heard anything back yet. Again, I think that's another question about how long it will take to review.
Okay. There's a lot of variance, I guess, between the individual lenders. Everything is done through the lender themselves. So the lender is actually the one that, again, it's their forms, they handle everything, do that internal review, and then they send it to SBA. So you might just want to check with the lender. I know obviously some banks, are much smaller staffing. Some have a larger, obviously larger presence, maybe even an entire department that is handling this. So once it gets to SBA, it goes pretty quick. So the best thing I can suggest is just to double check with that existing lender, whoever you applied with, and just ask them, where you are along the way. Because by the time it gets to us, it goes pretty quick.
Thank you for that. So when I apply for a loan, do they check credit scores?
Yes, they do. And I know that especially on the second round, when the program was reenacted, they reduced those credit limit thresholds quite a bit. So really tried to expand the program and make it as accessible as possible. So please, I know for any number of reasons, we all have concerns and things that have happened. Don't let that keep you from looking into it and talking to somebody.
All right. When should we file for the forgiveness? 8 weeks after receiving the PPP loan? And how long do you think it will take to know how much will be forgiven?
Yeah, we are right now in the final stages of the forgiveness portion of this, let's say. It's my understanding that around August 10th, they're going to open that portal up where the lenders can begin to put in the requests for the forgiveness. And I know probably between Friday and yesterday, a huge email blast had gone out to all of the lenders, sort of coaching them and getting them up to speed on the process and how it's going to go. So at this point, you can apply. But if you already have spent your money and you kind of want to get the process started again, check in with your lender if you want to be one of those first to submit in about 2 weeks. So again, I think it should go fairly quickly. It should be fairly streamlined, but the lender's going to be the one. They know which different forms need to be submitted, and they're getting up to speed on the process. So again, just stay in close contact with whoever you've applied with.
Thank you. This one from Ronnie. Will a 7A loan deferment be extended beyond 6 months?
I do not know. That is one of the options that Congress is reviewing. So this next round of the stimulus package that we're all waiting to hear about, we'll find out then. Right now, I don't have an answer. I don't have any information on that one.
All right, this one from Carol. We were in the process of establishing a second division of our company when this all started. Is the subsidiary company eligible for these loans as well?
It's going to depend on your structure. So again, that's something, just talk with your lender and let them review. That's the best way to do it, because I've seen it go both ways. I think it just depends on your structure and your, case by case. Everybody's different.
All right. Is it possible to request an increase of funds for already received EIDL? My unlucky wife opened up her business after the pandemic. Is there any options for her?
Okay. You can put in a request for reconsideration. That would have been in your documentation, but again, if you go and email the disaster customer service line, they can send you, if you can't find it in your paperwork, they can send you the address of where to send that letter. And again, it's a case-by-case basis. As far as opening after, you should still be able to apply for the EIDL. It should not matter. So again, that'll be that you apply directly through the SBA website.
And one last one from the chat box. I never set my business banking account up, and that's been a problem. I opened my business late October and only generated money in 2020. Am I eligible with no business banking account and no Schedule C because I didn't file taxes for 2019?
Well, it's going to be a problem because if you apply and are approved, all the funds are sent electronically. But you can use your Social Security number. So for EIDL, I would go ahead and put it in there, and they'll send you, if they needed other documentation, they would send you so an email, or correspondence explaining to you kind of, the missing pieces or what you need to do, to either complete the application or to reapply. So when in doubt, try. I think that's sort of the best answer I can give.
All right. So let me stop sharing my screen here for a second, and that was all we got through the chat box. I think we got a few via email. and I'm just pulling that up now. If you have that open now on your screen, Rachel,
Okay.
you might be able to get a head start while I open up on my.
Okay. I think if I remember, we've probably covered quite a few of them. Let me find it again.
Working with just one screen these days.
I can read some of the questions, Clay, if you'd like.
That would be great. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you very much.
These were submitted via email part of today's recording. We have received the EIDL loan, although very late, months after application. The loan was not enough and was very late. We requested increase to the loan on June 19th and still no answer. How possible is it to get the loan increased? For your information, we were not qualified for PPP because of sole proprietorship nature of the company. Please, advise what is best to get more help?
Yeah, you really have to wait on disaster assistance for that reconsideration. Given the time that's passed, I definitely would give them an email or a call to check on that and see where you are in the process. Beyond that, I would encourage you to reach out to the SBDC or SCORE, to sit with a counselor and let them kind of go through your paperwork there, your situation. We do have a microloan program. We have the 7A. It might be that one of the traditional lending programs is an option for you. And then again, reach out to your local county economic development office. I know a lot of the individual counties have set up, loan programs and, even in some cases grant money, locally to their residents. So it might take a little homework, but it could well be worth a few phone calls to see what else is available. But again, your counselors, SBDC in particular, are really well versed in the local programs and know that local landscape and hopefully have some ideas and can come up with a plan.
Great, thank you. The next question, if you were in an industry that is completely devastated like the live music event industry, why can't the loan be converted into a grant?
Yeah, again, these are federally legislated programs, so it's not up to us. Congress would need to approve that. And at the moment, the EIDL advance that was in the original round of funding is not an option. That may come back. I don't know. Again, those are things that we will be waiting on Congress for. So unfortunately, that's just the way the system is designed, that it's loans and not grants.
Darn. I'm a small business owner. I've had very successful business for 7 years till COVID. Company's revenue is around $640,000 per year, and my personal income was around $148,000 per year. After March 30th, I have no business at all. Since I have LLC, I never registered myself as a W-2 worker. My question is, can I still get the loan? Would I have to pay it back?
Yeah, again, the safest thing is to talk with your lender, or again, if you want to go to Treasury.gov and pull up that interim final rule where we talked about having all those examples of I'm this kind of company, I have W-2s, I don't. That's not something I can answer. So just check with your lender and they'll be able to guide you through that. But again, in any case, as long as the proper percentages are spent on payroll, it would be forgiven. But again, please just double check with your lender.
And we just got a question back on the chat box. Clay, I think this one's new. What is the total percentage amount of EIDL for working capital forgiveness? What is the total percentage amount of EIDL for working capital forgiveness?
Yeah, the EIDL is not a forgiveness.
Okay.
The EIDL is just a straight loan,
That's what I
and you
thought.
can spend the EIDL, in any way that you would want.
Yeah. Is there a second round EIDL? Will there be a second round of EIDL?
Yeah, the EIDL, the Economic Injury Disaster, is currently still open. So you can apply right now. If you go through the
Okay.
SBA website and search for EIDL, it'll get you right to that portal. We had the website up a little earlier. And so it is still open. Right now, we expect it to remain open through December 31st, unless funds are exhausted. So that is up and running and available to you. And then the Paycheck Protection program we started with this morning, that runs through August the 8th. And again, we'll be waiting just like you to see what Congress does decide to do, if they want to extend that at all.
Thanks.
Mhm.
If you previously received a PPP loan, are you eligible to apply for another? I think you said that's yet to be determined.
Yeah, right now that's a no, but you can have an EIDL or any other SBA product with it.
Yeah. And does your EIDL amount affect your forgiveness of your PPP? I think I read this on the bank's website. Was this mentioned when we were granted PPP, or were the rules changed along the way?
Yeah, no, it's always been that way. Nothing has changed on that front. And again, that's where I had talked about the only time it's going to affect you is that advance amount. So a lot of folks originally applied for the EIDL. There was a checkbox where you check, yes, I wish for an advance. It was allocated at roughly $1,000 per employee. So let's pretend you got $3,000 as an advance from the EIDL. So that amount gets deducted from your forgiveness eligibility. So, assuming everything went right and the money would just go away, you're going to end up with that balance of $3,000, which technically is the EIDL advance. And that would convert to that traditional loan, 1%, going out 5 years. And again, you can prepay it. So, yeah.
We applied for the PPP loan and were told we were not eligible due to lack of paperwork supporting the claim. We are an LLC partnership with the sales marketing director, along with several independent contractors. We typically are a profit-based pay, but we do pay some items hourly by the job. Any idea how to approach this?
Again, the decisions are made by the actual lender. So either revisit whoever you talked with the first time, or maybe reach out to a different lender. Again, we've got the search tool on SBA.gov. So, it might be that a different lender would have a different take on it, but they should be able to give you some feedback and tell you what it is that they're looking for.
And then somebody asked, did I hear correctly? If I have receipts for total amount of EIDL equals 100% forgiveness?
Yeah, EIDL is not ever forgiven. The EIDL is a standard loan. Mm-hmm.
EIDL is a loan. PPP is the one that can have potential forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Clay, I think that got the emails that were sent in.
Yes. Yep.
I think that's, yeah.
Okay.
I see one last question again from Thomas. No, I'm sorry. He actually just said thank you. So, yep, perfect.
All right. Going. Anyone else have questions? All right, so Rachel, a theme that I heard consistently is we really need to strengthen, ensure we have strong relationships with our SBA lenders.
Mm-hmm.
That is really important, so that's critical. Number two, there are many documents, questions, answers. We need to know those websites. And so to everyone today, Clay and our team, thank you, Clay, always for doing this. We will be sending out links. We'll be sending out slides, a recording to make sure you have those phone numbers and those links. Rachel, I want to say 1,000 times thank you. No one person can know all the information. So I know it's very tough, and sometimes it's frustrating because you want one person to go, but encourage you, SBDC centers, your loan officers, use these links, get the information. It's a lot of hard work, but it's going to be worth it in the end if we're all still in business at the end.
Yeah.
All right. I also want to just give a shout out. Better Business Bureau does have a trusted advisors program. If any small business is looking for a consultant, we have them in marketing, finance, legal, HR. If you just want 1 hour of a consultant's time at absolutely no cost, that is available to our accredited business community. We have future webinars that in the follow-up email we'll send. We'll have that information for upcoming webinars. And if you have ideas or needs as a small business, information you need, we would be happy to try to look into and try to bring that to you. So Clay, Rachel, did we get everything we need?
I believe 2 last-minute questions came in if you want to answer them.
Excellent.
What would be the maximum forgiveness percentage in the PPP loan?
It can be 100%. Again, check with your lender and make sure that your payroll is getting spent according to the guidelines of the loan. And it can be 100% of forgiven, assuming, you know, that you've spent it according to the plan there.
Perfect. Looks like we actually answered William's additional question. So another last minute one, not the good credit.
Yeah, we had referenced that a little while ago. Yeah. They really, when they reopened the program back in June, they've really sort of changed the qualifications, you know, lowered some of those credit requirements. So as I said, when in doubt, please do apply. Don't let that hold you back. And again, that's something, you know, check with your local lender first. But certainly, I quite honestly know for folks that have tried 3 and 4 times for the loan, and on the 4th time, sort of 4th time's the charm. So don't be discouraged. You know, individual banks have different information, you know, requirements, things that they personally do. So just because one no doesn't necessarily mean, you know, all is lost. Again, like Angie said, it's going to take a little homework and some diligence on your part, but certainly you've got options. So please, I would encourage you to go ahead and apply.
All right, and I think this can be our last question. Any additional questions we can address via email? I was being told to get unemployment instead of PPP because of getting the runaround from lenders. Is this advisable?
You know, that's a tricky one, and I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I know the program was designed to get folks back to work and out of the unemployment system. Obviously, is a perk of doing that. You know, I don't know why that information was given or what that suggestion was based on. So again, you know, talk with maybe your bookkeeper or whoever's doing your you know, payroll. You know, sometimes you use a payroll company, whatever that may be. And again, check with the lender. They're going to be the ones that know your situation more intimately and can probably give you the best advice. I'm really not sure, you know, maybe where that would have come from. But I think it would be worth getting a second opinion.
Sure. Thanks, Rachel.
Rachel, yeah, Clay, let's take this one question right here. I think it's pretty fast. Oh, do you know if the money received from a PPP forgiveness will be considered other income and thus subject to income tax?
I personally do not. Again, that's a good quick question for the lender, or if you go to the treasury.gov, they have all those nitty-gritty procedures on there.
Right. Do we want to get the last question?
Sure.
And then, all right.
Sure, and then we can wrap.
And then we'll wrap. Yeah, because PPP started with an 8-week window for the calculation. Now that it is 24 weeks, how do we get reconsidered?
If I understand the question, the new rule, let's call it the extension of 24 weeks, can apply to the folks that applied originally. So you have the option of using the 8 or 24 week period. And again, just check with your existing lender, wherever you got your PPP from, and let them know what your intentions are. But it should be, yeah, you should have the choice to use it whichever way.
All right, guys, we'll wrap it up now. Clay will get the follow-up. Rachel, Thank you so much for your time.
you.
And thanks to everyone for sharing your morning with us. I hope this was helpful, and I hope you keep the communications open so we know how to best meet your needs.
Thank you.
All right. Good morning.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.